OG are having a real tough time of it on their approach. Not allowed in at any turn, and they will start to fall, start to crumble in the face of it. AKOP, the last to stand. Nobody quite making their way on through.
He's playing dead. I love it.
Dealing the final blows. He's
actually working
right now.
Oh, damn. I actually thought he got away with that as well. I think it's a cool play to make because you just stop dead and you're like, I am not here. Trust me, please. But yeah, unfortunate stuff will go down. That's OG going out in 16th here.
Will not be a good result for them, unfortunately. The arena somehow getting through on the hovercraft, giving themselves a nice big burly buttress to keep themselves nice and safe. Prop themselves up on. Kara moving over towards the lake because there's a lot of water in this final circle. Well, these final circles here, Blank. It is a real tough time. Keeps the whole lake in, but doesn't keep the far side of it in through the next zone, which makes it impossible to rotate around that way after the next maybe 30 seconds have elapsed.
It's kind of frustrating for Thunder Talk as well because they played this 2-2 split and it actually was such an insane play. I will say, though, it was very, very greedy. But if it paid off, they would have both been able to move down towards this southeast compound and they would have had a very good game off the back of that. Now it's up to APG to move towards that north side and pick up that compound off them. But APG still doesn't really know whether there's only 2 players within that building. And it's likely something they'll think about doing a little bit later. They have to clear Mad Bulls as well on the southwest side. Carrot still going strong, but only with 2 players also. This is a very, very rough circle to play. And this is exactly why I say that you kind of want to confirm down towards the southeast side. If you were already there, you didn't want to move just because it is so difficult now for teams to find purchase in the circle from the northwest.
It is really difficult. You're right. GS, R8. I mean, it's more important for GS really to be able to get through this one unscathed. Their score tally right now very much in the throes of it. R8 a little bit more secure, and they're already picking up points towards Wolves. Already more damage being done to the Americas champions. GS going for a wide wrap out to the north now. They're trying to get around all of this engagement, get away from R8, get away from Kara, but they are heading straight towards Alpha 7.
Alpha 7's position, there's actually a lot of little bits of cover here that they can play. Skill has to hit the deck. There's some good shots initially from the vehicles as they pass by. They need to find one of them, break this train apart, but GS are able to get onto the other side. Immediately pins need to be pulled here. GS Icon already finds Obscure in the backline. These first couple of nades have to be massive, and they absolutely are.
Revo and Grisal holding their nerve in the face of the approach from GS, but the first to fall is there. The second not so good though, and it's going to be Grisal and Carrillo holding the line for Alpha 7. One player did get taken out there, but GS, they try a wide wrap, but it was not going to work. In the meantime, plenty of damage being done around these bridges, and R8 are going to be moving out on the south side.
The Regnum Kai it's actually a tough game to play because there's a lot of angles, at least for R8, that they could still pick up, and then R8 plays that position after them. Still so much water in this one over towards that north side. E-Arena playing this building that's slightly on high ground is pretty good for them going forward. And no one is even thinking to look over towards Thunder Talk right now. I think most teams assume that's
bigger than your reality in those situations. It's a difficult rollout. You can see Doc is lining the vehicle up because they do know that they need to move fast on this next exit. The question is, where do they go, right? There's a couple of buildings further down the road. The arena are going to be very close to them, though, and it's going to be a difficult push to it. With Virtus Pro as well on the north, I mean, that is very, very dangerous ground.
Alpha 7, Carrillo will try as much as possible, but again, I think for Alpha 7 is a very, very difficult push down towards the south side to make this happen. All right, though, it's going straight for it. Xavier once again playing on as 2 players and making it work somehow. Again, I think that although they are doing okay in the points, and now they're in top 7, this sort of needs to stop. right? The DXavier duo is something that is becoming increasingly more consistent and increasingly more effective. And I don't know why. I would much rather this team played on as 4. But yeah, it's such an odd one where the most times where we see DXavier doing well is when 2 of their other players are dead. It makes no sense, yet it is working.
Pmgc just love this river split style. We've seen it from a lot in the regionals. They are trying to enact it here. I mean, it's why Loxy was across the river in the first place to get taken down by Thundertalk. But it seems like they're a little bit more entrenched now with Wild playing there. They've got Kara trying to put nades across the river, but just a bit out of range. Fortunately, they find that knock, and that could be a huge opportunity for all the teams around to make a move, including DRX.
Alpha 7 just trying to go for the swim. I think they had little options available to them, but the duo in DXavier have spotted them out. Levi's and Paragin. Not likely to let this cross go unharmed. This Korea will get knocked. Alpha Gaming made a long fling over towards the eastern side, sorry.
Yeah, it's been a difficult approach, but somehow Doc making that mad dash across the open Yaz fields.
So, a bit of a self-nade, but it gets the job done.
Not great.
It does get the job. It does take down Lemon, right? Bit of collateral damage on his side. Not sure how he took 99% and Lemon took 100.
That happens, you know. Looks like he's pretty bare on the meds, though. Otherwise, you'd imagine his health bar would be a lot fuller than it is. That's the nade that'll do it. Final nail in the coffin on the south edge, and that res should be coming on through for the Mad Bulls. Thundertalk are out, so our table toppers going to be taking another break. This is an opportunity. This is a big opportunity for the Mad Bulls to put a lot of distance in and see what they can find. Regnum Kaya, in the meantime, they have been busted down to 1. Their east side shore outhold was dismantled by Kara, by a couple of other teams as well, but Kara have now fallen as well. So Wild may be a little bit more unknown here.
DRX, QXZ, playing underneath. Regnum Kaya were picked to pieces. Only Wild left remaining, as per usual, as is customary. Alpha Gaming still playing as 4, but it's a rough approach for them.
Ooh, he doesn't have too many meds. Look at that. Only the 2 first aids. Doesn't want to overexpend himself. And needed to try and get a re-knock there. Levi's actually chiming in, but a nade bobbles its way over. DRX have to cross, and the blue zone's putting too much pressure on to make this one realistic here. I just don't think they're getting out of it. With Grisao as well on the far side. The nades coming through from the DXavier duo. Oh, it's dastardly. It's mischievous coming through from Paragin and Levi's. They are doing a lot of work for DXavier on this west side. They're up to 5 elims.
I know, it's paradoxical, but it works. This is what's happening for DXavier right now. I don't really understand it. I mean, the fact that they're in top 7 is wild to me. But as Pro go down to just 1 player as the arena takes some very big shots towards them, and with Aragon down towards the south side, very unlikely VP gets back up into the picture. Whoa. Good step up from DRX, jumping into the boat from Kaixe to get a separate different angle. More shots from DXavier trying to weaken them as much as possible, soften them up for this initial nade that's going to come over the top here.
DXavier not really going to have sightlines on them for too much longer. The nades need to be on target now, because stepping up and over, you're going to have Ulf starting to take shots at you. APG maybe even from a distance. But DRX may have just done the impossible. Getting across this river seemed like it was just not going to happen. But here we are, in a position to see it maybe coming on through. The Wolves surviving with a solo, by the way, on that south edge. So maybe that's where DRX go next.
Yeah, I mean, Doran's doing quite well for it. Alpha Gaming got torn apart. I mean, that position they took is not terrible, honestly, and I think Mad Bulls wanted it, but the speed at which they were plucked out of this game was quite astonishing from the Mad Bulls, who finally are having a bit of a resurgence today. It's been Slightly less impressive towards the start of the day, some points here and there, but nothing crazy. But from that spot, you have a lot of control over the rest of the lobby. You're mainly just worried about Aragon and E-Arena, but you control these roadsides very well, and as long as that's possible, you have a great game in your hands. They still have to hope for a southeast shift on this one, and then it's very likely to be a Mad Bulls win.
Certainly would seem that way. Let's see where the circle goes. It goes pretty central, Blank, which gives Mad Bulls, again, probably one of the better positions. They could still play on those roadsides. They could still play on those ridges out towards the fields, the cover that they've already established. And the teams over towards the west side, I mean, it's a question of who gets the chance to try and move out towards where Ulf are playing.
They say you're forced to drop down as many smokes as possible to make this push work, but DRX very healthy now, and the nades start to bear fin. This is a crazy push from QXZ, looking for a little more. Hyunbin around the side. Paragin's already down. Levi has a monumental task ahead of him.
They gave him too much trouble on the river crossing, and now they want their revenge. Kaikse moves on in, but is going to be taken down from the backline. QXZ able to get the final blow there. E-Arena from the rooftops, making it a little bit tricky, but that res definitely will be possible. The smoke just about to fade there. And they'll get Hyunbin back up. Kaikse moves in, stopping E-Arena, or trying to anyway, on that angle. Drops down. DRX have to make another move now. Their zone still not in their favor. They've been through it now, and DRX definitely tested their mettle. And so far, it's looking pretty shiny.
It is. I mean, they have just been in the forge all day, slamming away on the Smith, because this has been a very, very different DRX to what we previously saw earlier. I've been quite impressed with what I've been looking at so far from DRX in these last couple of games. I mean, it was a bit of a weaker start on that chicken dinner, but then they stepped up from there. And I mean, it's always nice to see an interview come through and them stick to the guns from what their plan was, which was to get a little bit more aggressive, understand the lobby a little bit better, and they certainly have done that here. Shots going through over towards Mormon, but this kind of cover is very difficult to deal with, and DRX will need to use smoke to slowly work their way down on this cliff, because eventually this fight between E-Arena and DRX has to conclude.
I mean, the fact that Doran's still alive as well for Wolves is pretty crazy, especially given the compound he was sat in seemed to be prime real estate. Nobody really had the gumption, though, to go for it. He's been allowed to live for a little bit longer, despite obviously not having that many meds to his name. It is a tough time for Doran on that western edge. Next zone will pop on in. It goes very, very central again, and it keeps the Mad Bulls divots in. It keeps Ulf in, too.
This is rough. I mean, this is the exact circle that no one really wanted. I think E-Arena and DRX probably most favored by this one. For the Mad Bulls, they have a very slim amount of area to play with. It depends whether they've got vehicles or not, John, because they could technically swing round the back of E-Arena and play off that. But yeah, it's a difficult push for them. Ulf sends a nade in, and we'll find Pusher off the back of this one. Scarface looking for more, though, as he primes another grenade in the back pocket.
Ooh, sends it longer, does tag on to Pusher, but Lemon sails in for the rescue to re-bolster their position. Just making sure that Ulf are a little bit slower on it. There's that second nade, that third nade coming in through as well. Flip looks to try and back off the angle. Lemon draws attention. The res is necessary here for Mad Bulls to make the move. Lemon doing a lot to distract here, but it seems like Scarface is dogged in his pursuit. The nades will not stay away, and Pusher is burnt out. But it was a little bit of a step too far as Joker able to land the shots to Scarface.
That is devastating for Mad Bulls on this south side. Losing a player like that is really quite painful. Aaron's still up and available, taking some pod shots, but more nades pouring over the top as the arena starts to realize where they are. DRX down to just one player in QXZ as the rest of the team attempts to crawl back over towards him for some emergency triage. Doran finally falls in 5th place as Ulf remains up and in this game.
The arena trying to move through. Tourniquet goes down, and it's now just Joker remaining. DRX playing as a solo as well. If they don't get this res, a nade is being cooked now, and QXZ wants the shot, wants the shutdown, looks for Joker, goes a little bit long with it, but Mormon might not be long for it either. The nade in response, QXZ breaking out wide. In the meantime, the Mad Bulls are making moves too. Ulf in the fight too, trying to stay alive in and amongst it. Mad Bulls now still have the numbers advantage. The nades, the Molotovs, putting pressure on E-Arena. But what's going on the south side, Blank? Who's going to be able to take control of that roadside?
Pmgc looking for the full squad wipe over towards E Arena. Joker on the low ground, starting to move up. Nade sent long, slightly off target though. Immediately sends another, lets it bubble through. He's just littering the ground with those mines, but is it enough right now? QXC needs to step up, knows roughly the direction he's coming from. Tourniquet attempting to provide that information back from inside the bush. QXC extremely low now, needs to step up soon, but Joker might just make it happen with this final nade.
In the meantime, Mad Bulls going toe-to-toe with the remnants of Ulf. They are 2 players standing. Tulika unlikely to get back up here, and they've got the angle. They step up around the side of the tree. The Mad Bulls were able to claim it from the ditch. Ulf could not hold them out. It looks like it might be a little bit ropey for a time there, but they play off one another beautifully, and the Mad Bulls reclaim their spot towards the top of those tables.
I mean, for Mad Bulls, what a great way to finish that out. I mean, taking down the entirety of APG in such short order as well on the position that won them the game. I mean, it wasn't even massively advantageous. And I think the thing that does win the game for them is just how long QXZ lives out in that engagement. The amount of knocks he's able to pull through over towards E Arena as they push towards his position. If not for that, I think Mad Bulls might have had a slightly harder time against a rebolstered E Arena on that side of the map. But they were so distracted for so long by DRX.
Getting that picture line up just perfect. Why not? Make sure you're looking fresh, looking hot. Is everyone giving them the mad dog down the lens? Love to see it. Love to see it. No smiles. They're not celebrating. They're just going to do it again. We'll see.
Represent, had to do it hella big, had to run it back again, light it up, hella big, light it up, gotta do it. Light it up, light it up, represent, had to do it hella big, had to run it back again, light it up.
Wow, what a game. We got Mad Bulls getting their second chicken dinner on the day, and this one was a tough one, Nepturo. This circle was brutal.
It really was, but you know what? I love the way Mad Bulls played this. It was so nice. It was methodical. That's the word I want to use for them right now, because they come up through the south side, but they don't go guns blazing or anything like that. They just keep it slow, keep it steady, use their info, and just are really able to push through and take teams down one by one.
I genuinely believe this was a great game, Niptra, from Mad Bulls. I mean, we both agree that the way they executed the mid to late game transition was beautifully executed. I do believe, though, they weren't really fully tested going into this. I feel like no teams were trying to take away good positions out of Mad Bulls' hands and use them to their full potential. I wanted to see other teams try and snatch those positions away, but it never happened the entirety of this match, and they just like exuded complete control upon this lobby. I mean, look at Lemon. He was an MVP contender of yesterday, and he's once again able to flex out 5 eliminations on his lonesome. This guy is a beast in this Gauntlet stage.
Yeah, I really love what he was
Crushing it.
doing as well with the Ulf player, right? With Scarface trying to grab the nades and trying to get as many elims, and Lemon coming in with the car, just trying to distract as well, like just really backing up his teammates as much as he could. I really liked that play from him as well.
Beautifully done, beautifully done. You know what? Speaking of plays, though, Max, man,
Oh,
we
no.
got to talk about R8, okay? It was so right there. They're on the other side of the bridge holding that hill, okay? For those of you guys that don't know, we're talking, we're chatting, right? Okay, what should R8 do? Maybe they should crest up that hillside, possibly challenge, and then kind of go through the water on that end, or should they go into the blue zone through the other side? And then they're just like, nope, pedal to the metal right down the center. What do you think about that, Max?
I was hoping they were going to take the eastern bridge of Rozok and go for wide rotation in the blue onto Mad Bulls. That was my guess. This is why I'm saying Mad Bulls were not really contested on any position and given for free. But R8, they had a clear path to success. We'll see it possibly at one point during these replays. And they're like, no, how about we go through the meat grinder of the lobby, Niptra? They go to the main bridge in the center, and there was Ulf, there was Rangnam Kara, Zeke Xavier, DRX, Kara, and they're like, that sounds like the good option. But it wasn't! What are we doing, R8? There was a way better option here going south. It's not even funny. They just disappeared.
Yeah, you know what I would almost have liked better if they did want to go for the crazy play, is just send the vehicles into, not over the bridge, but over the water. Flow over the water, get to the other side, get to the other bank. You're low ground, but at least you don't have 6 teams looking at you. I mean, that would be so much better.
Oh, do we see the okay.
We should have gone down the middle earlier, right? We should have listened to Max, man.
But you know what? Actually, even though I'm not a fan of the play of sending cars in the water, definitely would have been better than whatever that was. Sorry, I feel like I'm being extra harsh on this, but there were decent options here, and they just got very desperate because maybe they delayed their move too much, and then they go like, oh, we have to do something. We took way too long to make a play, and unfortunately the play they ended up doing, in my opinion, was like the worst option of all. But you know what? It's fine. They're still looking comfortable in the rankings. It's not going to hurt them too much. But at the end of this game, so many cool 1v1 scenarios here. Joke in particular, able to survive and outplay DRX with the nades. A few of them didn't connect, but the last ones did. And that does get them a second place as you go over the recap of the rotates here. And some really interesting rotates moving around the board here, Niptra, this match.
Yeah, I really want to... Wait. Yeah, I really want to look at Mad Bulls in particular, because you can just see how south they actually go and how split they actually were as well. They had some really pretty big splits for the area that we were in, so I really liked seeing that as well, because I mean, I just love splits so much. I know a lot of teams don't play that way, but splits to me is just so controlling. You can do so much with them as well, and you can see that there, like even splitting across to the other side of the river just to get as much control as possible, then moving on up, just playing it super slow, Max. I loved this from them.
Yeah, I love that rotation in particular from Mad Bulls. They see the circle going east of the river, which was a hard shift for majority of this lobby. It's like, well, we can just avoid the big meat grind on the western side where DRX currently are on the minimap, and they just get easy access into Thunder Talk's compound. They snatch it away in that 4v2 and just, again, showcase.
Past that halfway point, we're gonna got 2 Miramars left. By the way, I mean, DRX, right? They were right there on that cutoff, trying to get into the top 7. 10 points here, I think they did it, Neptura. I mean, they really grinded in order to get every single one of those points, and it worked out perfectly for them.
I'm so happy they got the win earlier on in the day. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the big show-stopping win we might have wanted, but it put them right back where they need to be now in the last 2 games, a completely different team to what we saw yesterday. DRX are back. They're feeling good. They're building up their momentum step by step. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a second win from them today. Like another Miramar, I could see it.
Totally possible. Look at that lemon. 5 eliminations, 644 damage. I mean, great game from these guys. You know what? I do want to talk about another rotation, though, Max Man, right? It was a little bit earlier on in the game, and it was GS onto Alpha 7, right? They did a super bold push, wrapping all the way down that north side, passing up Alpha 7, and they were able to crash successfully, but then everything just fell apart for them. What happened?
I'm happy you bring it up because I genuinely enjoyed that play from GS. I think it showed that they wanted to try and contest that position away, wrestle it out of the hands of Alpha 7. But unfortunately, they get in a position which, as we know, Hodrix, they were in nade range, and they just get a little bit complacent, slow things down. But when you're in nade range against Alpha 7, guess what? You don't want to slow things down. And that is going to cost them to go even low on the rankings here, down to 11th position, only 11 placement points, which is quite unfortunate. But top of the rankings, I am happy. DRX, they're jumping up the rankings. They're getting up in that top 7. Let's go. South Korea is here to play.
What a crazy jump. Yeah, I mean, DRX were in big trouble, right? Before, at the start of the day, right? And just like that, they rocket launched themselves. I mean, they were in 13th place with 19 points, right?
Yeah.
Going with this kind of performance, I mean, they have got to be so excited.
They really do. I love this for them. Top 5. I mean, a pretty good buffer placement-wise, you know, in the top 7, right? To be top 5. You're not hovering on that edge there. But points-wise, they kind of are. Because we've got 2 ties. DRX and OG with 61 points. A7 and Dick Xavier with 59 points. There's only 2 points separating them between 8th and 5th place right now. So definitely not in the safe zone yet. But what a start it is for them. And it's really looking very, very good. We see here top 4 fraggers. Lemon's looking good. 5 eliminations. You got Joker as well stepping up. We saw him a lot in that game as well, didn't we, Max?
I'm just laughing at Joker's pose like, gentlemen,
Yes.
Maybe time for a win. Possibly.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Indubitably.
Every one of these players performing here, Lemon, Joker, Parajin, and QXE on their respective teams. But yeah, it's good to see a bit of variety in this team and who's able to dominate and do well. So very, very excited to see how that's going to continue moving forward. But that is it for Erangel, right? So our Erangels are done. We're getting now into Miramar. Excited to see who's going to be taking the Dusty June wins here this time around.
Oh man, I'm so ready for Miramar, and one team I'm really gonna be looking at, right, is gonna be OG, right? We heard at the top of the show with Seven saying that, hey, it's our hot drop location. We're gonna take it. The thing is though, Max, right? 0-point game in the last one, right? We're seeing a lot of teams, DRX surpassing them. A lot of big names now starting to perform. Are you starting to get a little bit worried for this squad?
I am a little bit, because this lobby, it's very obvious to me, Hodrix, we're looking at day one compared to day two, the teams now, they're feeling comfortable. You know, they're fully playing into their initial strategies. They wanted to fully play around going into the Gauntlet. Now day two, they're just flexing what they can really make in this lobby. The teams at the bottom, except for APG, you could say they've still been kind of invisible these matches. Everyone is stepping up big time, just like DRX as an example. So teams at the top are starting to slip. Orangutan is one of those teams. We said it at the start of the day, right, Niptroy? We wanted to see an Orangutan win to kind of secure top 7 spot. We have yet to see that chicken dinner. I still feel like there's time to make it happen. But again, we're at the halfway point, past the halfway point now. So you don't have that much time left to secure that top 7 position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to feel a little bit worried about OG. I mean, we came so close to a win earlier on Erangel, right? They got second place with a decent amount of eliminations. I was surprised how they turned that game around, because that first rotation into that building, I was like, guys, what are we doing? This is crazy. They made it work, right? But I think now it's this weird thing of they put up more points yesterday and we saw less from them. Now they're starting to make moves. They're starting to be more confident, but the points just aren't coming. It's just like it's been flipped now. And we need to see that balance come back where it's like, yes, that aggression comes up. Yes, try to get more points, but you're actually able to make it work. And as we get further and further on in the day, I'm just like, oh, come on, guys, do something. Come on, please do something.
It would be nice to see something change. But I'm seeing Orangutan a lot of the times when they get involved in fights, they're very split. If we can see them just before a fight breaks out, regroup and maybe just like 10-15 seconds faster, I think they would definitely have a chance, because come on, like fragging power on Orangutan is very high. WizGod, AKOP in particular. We even saw Aru get some great bridge eliminations onto Thundertalk earlier on in today's match. If they regroup here, Hodrix, I feel like a win, or at least a strong elimination top 5 is definitely available for them to pick up on these Miramar matches.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, because especially considering what we saw in, you know, that last Erangel match, not the one before this one, right? We saw OG do that super bold push, right down the center. They get that center position, and it works out for them, right? Because the zone ends up going that. They try to do the same thing, a kind of similar strategy of that bold push down the middle in this last game, and it didn't work out, right? So I think I do agree with you, Max. I think I want to see them, instead of kind of going for these super high risk rotates, right? Just kind of group up and just push your way in with your M4s, right? They got the gun skill. They need those eliminations. Do you think that's something that we could see a change in here in Miramar, especially considering that we could see a hot drop from them? What do you think?
The thing is, the hot drop is my biggest question. Are they going to keep doing APG just beat
such
down
an X factor
onto APG currently in such a bad position? Possibly. But no, I think that here, Orangutan, the rotates are good. So I think that we are going to see them maintain that kind of momentum we've seen so far and just keep fragging out. Hopefully, again, tighten up their positions and taking better fights. If they do so, I'm positive we can see a win. Yes, it'll happen.
Yeah, hopefully we can see it here real soon. But by the way, we do have a nice interview here coming up right now. So let's go ahead and throw it down to the stage and see what Seven has to say.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with the 7WG quick report here. I have none other than Turney K from E Arena getting a second place finish and getting closer towards that top 7 after, to be completely honest, an awful performance so far this PMGC. What has been the biggest struggle so far?
ก็เมื่อวานเล่นออกมาได้ไม่ดีสำหรับเมื่อวานคิดว่าอะไรคือปัญหาที่ใหญ่ที่สุดสำหรับตัวทีม E Arena
ก็น่าจะเพราะว่ากดดันกันครับส่วนตัวคิดว่ากดดันกันทุกคนครับก็เลยเล่นออกมาได้ไม่ดีครับ
He said probably because everyone's feeling the pressure so it made them play not so good for the first day.
That's fair. That's completely fair. I'm hoping that that's going to be changing here coming up because you guys are going into Miramar. Yesterday, 12th place finish, 11th place finish. You ended up only getting 1 elimination. What are you adjusting for Miramar?
ก็เมื่อวานมิลาม่าเล่นออกมาได้ไม่ดีได้แค่1-2 แต้มก็คิดว่าจะแก้ไงสำหรับมิลาม่าวันนี้
วันนี้ก็น่าจะเล่นสไตล์ที่ตัวเองถนัดครับ เพราะว่าเราเสียเมืองก็เลยเล่นยากนิดนึงก็น่าจะเล่นตามลายเครื่องครับ
So they're gonna play in the style that they're used to because it's a bit hard because they lost their city. So San Martin, they could not get that city. So they had to make a change. But today they're just gonna try to be themselves and play according to what they can play.
Okay, does that mean that there might be a chance of a hot drop?
คิดว่ามีโอกาสที่จะลงทับไหม
ก็ถ้าคะแนนเราเข้ารอบเราไม่มีปัญหาก็น่าจะเอาเมืองคืนครับ
He said if the points are looking good, he will probably go back to get his city.
Okay, well, I mean, you're currently 17 points away from being into that top 7, so points are starting to look good, but play it safe. Back to you guys.
Oh, play it safe or take the risk, Neptura. We're heading into Miramar, 17 points in the top 7. I mean, that is, it's definitely doable, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you think they should do? Play it safe? You go for it? What do you think?
I see both ways, right? Because hot drop sometimes is the way to get your mojo back. You come in hot, you get the points, you've got the momentum at the beginning of the game, you're feeling on top of the world, ready to roll. However, wasn't it yesterday the time for all that? Now, past the halfway point is a little bit late for that kind of talk. I'm not sure. It is doable, but it's just so risky. I don't know. I could see both sides, but I don't like it.
Look, you're looking at E-Arena. They're currently in 13th position. They've got, what is that, 42 points total. When you're not comfortable with a ranking, sorry, hot drops does not make sense. It is not.
No way.
It's not. Do you really think you're going to go from 13th position up to top 7 with like 4 eliminations? Sorry, that barely does a dent in what the points you need.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the momentum.
What if you die? What if you go out? What momentum? Your momentum is go back to the lobby, play DPS.
No. If you get 4 elims, then you get the momentum. But it is insanely risky. I don't know that I'd do it personally.
But what if you lose a player? There you go. Counter to that. But if you lose a player, then you're not going to get the win.
I don't know. It's a tactic, but is it a good one? I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't like it. No.
Yeah, I don't love it either.
No, I would have to fully disagree. Oh man, he's flexing.
Hey, let's go.
Them guns.
They
in
should
game
be.
and out of game. Look at that.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you know what? It's so crazy. You're right. You know, if you get that successful hot drop, yeah, it is just, you're so hyped, right? But honestly, at this stage, yeah, you lose one player, it's like utter devastation at this point, right? Because the thing is, Max, is that these squads that are winning, they're not just, it's not just getting handed to them, right? They're putting up some serious eliminations, big numbers. So any squad at this point, right, with a good chicken dinner, I mean, you got GS, they're sitting in 11th place with 51 points. That's only like an 8-point difference from that 7th place spot. So if they get it right here, they're going to rocket launch themselves up, Max. So yeah, it's super risky at this point.
Hey, anyone, Hot Jukes, in the leaderboards can still reach top 7. Ian Geek currently last place, 21 points. They have a horrendous Gauntlet stage. And yet, there's still hope that with a win, they can close that gap and actually be in a position where they can try and contest a top 7 slot away. It could still technically happen. Are you hungry enough to go the entire way, though? Do you have what it takes to try and be not only good enough to get a win, but then follow up with consistent points to then play catch up and get in top 7 and reach the grand finals? That's the big question mark here. As of right now, I'm doubtful if that's going to be happening for some of these squads, because I don't feel like I've seen that spark of like potential Neptura, right, for them to leave these bottom ranks. But maybe a hot drop would, as you said, maybe that's going to give them a bit more momentum and confidence, but I still feel like that's not the right path for these guys.
It's a desperate play. I am going to give you that 100%. I don't love it. There is some thought behind it, but is it the best thoughts? Maybe not. I don't know. I think the other thing is that if you are that low on the leaderboards, you know, it's such a struggle not only to come back from doing really badly and, you know, teams just taking you out left, right, and center, nothing is working, to suddenly going to the opposite way and going, actually, we're making it work every time. We're being very consistent. We're getting all these points. Like, that climb in your mentality from nothing is working to everything is working is so hard to do. for any team. But if you're at the bottom of the leaderboard, yes, it's possible, but is that mountain of just trying to flip that mentality just too much?
Yeah, that's a big question here. You know, one team that is on that second half of the leaderboard, because that's what I'm looking at right now, because this is where things are really starting to get interesting. You know, it's got to be Regnum Karya, right? I mean, I think we definitely saw a flash in the pan for them today, right? I mean, they had 19 points going into today. Now they have 39. So they put up 20, but they're still 20 points away from 7th place here, Max, man. We know what the squad can do. They're going into Miramar. What do you think their chances are of making it into top 7 by the end of the day with 2 more matches left to go?
Not happening. And the main reason why I'm saying that is because Rondo was their best map, right? They got most of their points on Rondo at the start of today, getting that 2nd place up against Thunder Talk and Ulf with high elimination count. And after that, nothing. Literally nothing of value stood out to me regarding Regnum Karya. And we know what these guys can do. They're one of the best teams in the world, and yet nothing of value has been showcased today. So I would love to see Miramar be a good game for them, Hodrix, but unfortunately, if I go on past performances, Miramar is not really a map that stands out to me as like the Regnum Karya map. It used to be Erangel. Erangel's done. You got 2 Miramars back to back. I don't think they're going to be top 7. If they're going to get there, it will be tomorrow. That's my guess.
Yeah, well, let's see if it's going to be tomorrow or now. Tomorrow's going to be absolutely crazy. So these next 2 matches are so crucial. 7 spots left to go. Who's going to go and grab them? Let's find out as we take it on over to John Allen. Enjoy.
And Erangel is here. We are ready for the desert. We'll be taking it by storm, I'm sure. Plenty of action left to unfold now. On the southeast side, the plane path will start. We're heading all the way up to La Cobreria on that plane to see ourselves in there. Erangel is over for today. Let's see what more our teams can do.
Indeed. So a bit of a larger map to be playing around with. We've seen some teams have a big resurgence from yesterday. Kara in particular, Thunder Talk. Basically, I think after they reached 100 points, they pretty much just slowed things down in a big way. Mad Bull's able to bring a little bit more thunder to the table, so another one of our consistent teams over 2 of our days so far. Virtus Pro desperately trying to get some more points on the board though, and have been struggling to do so far, and I think that's a team that I will be looking at during this match.
It will be necessary to keep up the pace around that 7th place bubble. It's starting to get a little bit less hodgepodge than it was before. Obviously, Thunder Talk having a bad, well, I say bad game. They're sort of due one, right, at some point. But not having the greatest of games did allow a couple of teams to add some significant points to their tallies. So the number of teams that are going to be more flexible towards that boundary gets fewer and fewer as time passes. Circle heads out to that northwest side. El Pozo, Montenuevo, the areas to the south of Crater Fields as well, going to be a heavy feature now in this phase.
I think probably my favorite circles on Miramar over towards this side of the map. I enjoy a lot of the high ground gameplay as well as some of the Montenuevo finishes, El Pozo finishes, and those are always really fun to watch. And there's some decent terrain to play around, and it's quite tactical in terms of the approach that you need to make of where you're rotating, because there is slightly less areas to cut yourself off from other squads other than this northern side of the map. But in the meantime, most teams did have to make a big west shift over towards on this circle. So teams like DRX, Alpha Gaming, they can make these quick swings out towards the western side and probably get some good rotates off the back of that. Similarly for Mad Bulls on the north in La Cobreria to start with, and Alpha 7 should have a decent start from El Pozo, but again, only just barely making it into top 7 right now with 59 points.
That is very much by the skin of their teeth, and tied with both DX Xavier and Alpha 7 on that 59 makes it all the more uncomfortable. The drop-offs not far to be comfy either. Alpha Gaming 33 points, still need a lot more from them. They have been playing mucky. They've not been playing great at all over certainly today and yesterday as well. Just a little bit wayward, nothing really standing out about them. They've had 1 or 2 moments from individuals, but they need to find that put-together attitude that Thunder Talk's certainly been exemplifying.
Wolves quickly into Montenuevo here, John. I think Wolves is certainly a team that needs to pick up the pace a little bit, because although they are finding points here and there's been no real dominant games so far from Wolves. A lot of it's been very scrappy. DXavier, another team that I would like to see more out of. And again, it's frustrating because I think for DXavier, despite them going down to 2 a lot of times, they're still a force to be reckoned with. So why can't there be a force to be reckoned with 4 players instead? I think that if DXavier starts to get things rolling, we could really see a quick result in towards that top 7. But for now, I think if they consistently are losing players towards that mid game, that's going to be something that always holds them back. I mean, even saying that, currently in 8th place with 59 points, it's actually incredible that they are here in the leaderboard right now, John.
I mean, yeah, especially when you consider the teams that sit behind them, not least of which Regnum Karya, right? They are currently now 14th place, 39 points, a very disappointing start. You said that, you know, they were looking to that first day maybe to try and speed things up, but they haven't really been able to keep pace at all today. The first half not going their way. Erangel now done. They've only got 2 matches to start to pick up that pace, and I don't think that you're going to be able to take 2 research days very often at all. And Regnum Karya certainly falling by the wayside. A disappointing showing. But on the flip side of that, you've got Kara still representing the region and having a great time in 3rd place.
Yeah, much better stuff from them. I mean, Ulf's also trying to get in towards that top 7 at 45 points. It's a little bit more of a journey for them. Again, I think the desk has talked about this at length about how Wolf, you know, really aren't displaying that same caliber of gameplay that we saw from their region in particular. And we'll have to wait and see how things pan out for them, because I do think Ulf is certainly a strong team, but it feels to me like they're very much an off and on team. Right, you know, it could be one set of 3 days are fantastic, the other set of 3 days pretty rough, and I hope that's not going to be the case. You need some consistency as a team. And again, it's so funny, like looking through the list of teams, because the conclusion you come to every time is that we know these guys can perform at a high level, but then again, you know, we can only have a top 7 team.
I mean, yes, it's the sort of leeway that you're afforded by having that sort of legacy on the global stage, right? There's a little bit of room for breathing on some slightly unsavory days, we'll put it that way. Virtus Pro, though, it feels like Virtus Pro, I mean, you're talking about, you know, needing to step up that pace. Virtus Pro, it feels like they'd be doing much better than they've actually put the points up for, right? I feel like I'm seeing them quite a lot in these late games, but they are having several catastrophic results. They're not having the floor level of their performance rise high enough to match where we're seeing them in the later parts of these games.
I mean, early mid-game rotations, pretty damn good from Virtus Pro usually. It's those mid to late game that are actually like what is causing them such grief at the moment, where they'll go out around about 19, 18 minutes into the game, but because they haven't really got too many eliminations and placement points haven't kicked in yet, they just don't get a whole lot out of it. I think most of the points that we see Virtus Pro get were from yesterday and then some scrappy games here and there. So I do think they need to tighten up some of that gameplay towards the end game, because, you know, early to mid game doesn't look too bad for Virtus Pro at the moment. I think that a lot of teams don't really play the same way they do, which is quite quick and loose a lot of times in those early moments, and because they're able to quickly adapt on the fly, they're able to do that, and there's not many other teams that quite fill that same category.
It's been a difficult road for Virtus Pro. They've got a chicken dinner, though, on the first match of the tournament. Indeed, on Rondo. Able to get 11 eliminations there. Nice stuff to find. On the eastern side, looks like OG have found themselves a scrap with current lobby laggers. Geeke, they are very much behind everyone else by quite a margin now, as teams start to accelerate away from them. And in fact, OG are going to accelerate away from that position as well. They want to get a little bit closer, more stuck in, maybe over towards Thundertalk. Getting stuck in, though, is GS, as Alpha Gaming have 2 players on the hold. GS are going to take the opposite house. They're not going to go full crash on this. And actually, that's going to allow APT to regroup. Top maybe actually finding a shutdown.
Yeah, it's not a bad shot. You also have DXavier chiming in at a distance over towards a DS. 3, and I think that you have DXavier maybe able to carve out a little bit of land there. Yeah, that's an awkward one. You really got to get 2 players up. And I think that the coordination has gone to pot here for GS just because of that outside sight line coming through from DXavier on this engagement.
The circle's going to pop as well very soon. Regnum Kaya have oversight on this as well as DXavier. This full compound is on surround. A hard west shift. It's speed now that is of the essence for teams looking to try and hold this western side. Alpha 7 primed and ready to rotate into the west. Regnum Kaya as well could give the slip to Montenuevo, try and get out there nice and quickly. But they may want to stick around and pick up a point or 2 here. I would say that that might be a mistake, though, as other teams are definitely not going to waste any time.
Yeah, Wolves getting a very good start to the game here, starting in Montenuevo and now being able to set a little bit over towards the west. We've got a lot of unplayable terrain in this one over towards the western side. That cuts out quite a bit of the circle itself. And you also have like that nasty terrain on the western side. And APG finally is able to put an end to GS there, taking down Jafar. Reaper straight back into the fire though, which is not great. DXavier in the meantime just taking shots over towards the vehicles, but they know better than everyone else that they need to get a move on. They're currently behind APG in the queue towards the circle. So whilst APG is getting reset and ready to go, they're going to take a quick rotate, probably down towards the south past La Deriera, I'd imagine.
It's a very difficult set of rotates for the teams on the east, getting through El Pozo on the north side. Montenuevo, a bit of a roadblock on that east. It's actually a very treacherous approach to the centers areas of this circle. I wouldn't be too surprised to cut a lot of teams out, even here in stage 2, and not really be able to make it. Either that, or we'll see 3 or 4 teams in Montenuevo and El Pozo.
Kara currently lining up towards the concretes on the north side. Not a bad spot either. I actually quite like this position on the map for Kara. It is a bit awkward where you can't really play it on the rooftops too much because there is sightline from the eastern edge. But in terms of position to just play out the rest of the game, it certainly works that way. And a lot of this circle is based on basically survival towards those final moments of the match, because it is quite awkward at times. It depends if it moves down towards the south side, in which case that area becomes a little bit more of a hot spot. But right now for Kara, I think this is a safe position to play.
They've got a decent chunk of it. Arena as well, with a high ground out to their west, a little bit less maneuverable, but potentially more profitable if they're able to find those shots, to find those angles onto the teams, trying to find any remnant of cover that is remaining on this one. GK, they have the point to the north of Montenuevo right now, under control against Ulf, but Ragnarok going to be backed off and will fold back in with the rest of his team. Meanwhile, on the southeast side, you got Alpha Gaming with OG approaching. A big split again for Alpha Gaming. They are not close to one another. Oh, a little bit of a trouble on the road there. But they do manage to extricate themselves from one another, keeping themselves nice and tidy on it. A big, whoa, hang on a minute. He's all the way up the top there. I was wondering, has he drop off there? But no, he's climbed all the way up. And now Aragon sat on his mighty perch. Gonna take shots down.
Yeah, I mean, for... Wow, you got up there and now you're immediately leaving. Okay, interesting. Wasn't worth it to him, apparently. Doesn't take too much fall damage, at least with this next circle moving away. Again, that spot would have been really good if this shifted hard over towards the western side. And I think Virtus Pro, you try and take the gambles where you can. In this case, they're already on the western side of the circle, so you may as well try and take high ground off the back of it. In the meantime, circle moves a little bit more comfortably towards the center here. There is really awkward ground over towards the western side of Regnum Kaya, which is dead center, by the way, which is very, very open. But I think the Regnum Kaya could get some decent results off the back of this game. I also like where DXavier is currently playing on the high ground just on La Deriera, watching as teams rotate in from that southeast edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a real roadblock on that south side. You're right. It's going to force teams like OG, like Alpha Gaming to go through a city, which is already starting to get pretty packed, or try and go over a ridgeline out in the open. Ulf have spotted a player from R8, Aaron able to find that shot, find that shutdown. R8, one by one almost, are leaving their buildings here. They flexed a player out now to try and combat on this high ground, but it's just not really too many easy positions to try and take against it. The Arena, they descended from the mountaintops and then now up to the Mad Bulls to try and slow them down. Lemon under a lot of pressure here. The team sallies forth to go for the rescue. Kara chiming in too, and they're getting lit up for the Arena.
Yeah, Arena backed off that position, and Mad Bulls will take the advantage on that one. Nades have to keep pouring through from Arena to keep Mad Bulls at bay, but there are shots from up on high. That's from the Wolves already finding good value off of this position. Kara did send out one outpost towards a longhouse on their south side, and because this fight is taking place, they might be able to get the rest of the team towards there, which is a little bit more central, a little bit more playable for them as well, as opposed to those concretes on the northwest.
And there's about 5 teams in these cracks and crenellations right now on the rocky outcrops here, trying to survive like insects in the desert sun, scuttling from one bit of shade to the next, seeing if they can weather the onslaught from Kara, from Regnum Kaya, if they get a look at as well. The Wolves up top a little bit less worried, but still in danger. Circle will appear in 20 seconds. We'll know just where we're going. Who's going to have that advantage? North, south? Is it going to go out to the really horrible western part of this circle? We'll have to wait and see.
You see here, there's this valley that cuts through the center of the circle. It's just really awkward to play. All finding one on the side of the map here. That's over towards R8, I believe. Enough engagement for R8, really stuck down the hillside here, and slowly but surely more and more damage pours through, and the R8 will be going down. Ulf will live this one out, but still lose one player in the process. That's all the way on the northeast side of the map, so they still got to cut through many teams here. But yeah, this circle being so central does cut a lot of teams out right now. OG able to find a position just underneath that area in the longhouse, which should keep them safe for a while. I mean, leaving there is going to be slightly difficult as they push over towards Thunder Talk's position. But because it's so messy on this side of the map, OG might be able to find themselves a little position or a little route to get through. We'll wait and see how they want to play that one out, though. Alpha Gaming rolling, barrel rolling in towards Geeke and finding a knock to start things off.
That was stylish. Okay. Looking for more as well. There's no re-knock found so far, but Seol and Top try to go in. Nah, it's under guard, under lock and key. You're not getting past them. Nurzed will be safe for now, but Reefus had more success on his angle, on his approach. APG down to just one player now. It is just Reefus alive for them on the roll-up. Will be able to get a house all to himself, and DK actually surviving as 3 here. Looking for the heals to come on through. Excellent work to hold that one down. Nurzed thought he was gonna, but no, he had a savior. Ragnarok, though, wants to try and force his team to save another person as he charges in on his own.
Yeah, it's just another curious crash with really no setup whatsoever other than the barrel roll, I suppose you could call it. And I think APG is just trying to win out these fights. It's a lot of ego challenges from Alpha Gaming. I don't know how far that's going to take them. In this Gauntlet, at least, not very. But I am slightly confused by that one. Did not feel like an international level play.
I mean, the thing with ego challenges is that they're supposed to bruise your ego when they don't go well. But it feels like APG are sort of immune to that factor, which is maybe why they're sort of poisoning themselves with it. It's a real tough time.
They're on a big split right now, and understandably so. I mean, playing around this region of the map, like you say, there is tons of teams all tucked into these positions right now because there's not many great places to go. For Regnum Kaya, this is a fantastic opportunity to get more points on the game. They have a very good location on the map to work with. The circle centers up towards them. So many good sight lines to just be taking shots, and they roughly know where all the teams are coming from as well, because it's absolutely down towards the southeast side and up towards the north. You know, no one's really going to be wanting to be playing on that southwest edge of the map, and the only safety is on the western edge of this hillside.
APG down again. That is unfortunate. Can't style it out this time. TT, the Thunder Talk at the top of the tables. Happy as Larry. The only team who's actually very chill right now. Not really too worried. And actually, they're in a pretty solid spot. This west side of Monte Nuevo is going to work out for them for the time being. I just question how long they're going to be able to survive into this game. Getting out of there, going to be a tough task. DXavier, they are holding this south ridge really well. They will have oversight onto that Thunder Talk position. The approaches on every other angle, though, incredibly packed with players.
And there it is. That's the circle we were looking for Regnum Kaya at least. And now things are going to get very difficult. I'm curious to see how OG plays this one out. I think DXavier have a good idea that OG are underneath them. But the options aren't amazing for OG here. They could just brute force it through DXavier. Considering how split they are as well, there's a good chance for it. It's just a question of how well DXavier scouted out his position. And I remember saying that about R8 versus OG, and it's R8 who took the first knock there too. So again, I don't think OG's been slacking at all in terms of the information gathering down that side. Great nade from Revo over towards Doran, trying to take control of this high ground from the north side, but time is limited as the circle starts to squeeze them in.
Only 3 players alive, 4 Wolves, and that's going to leave Baton without a sight line up the top. It's really on to Highorst to try and stop Alpha 7 going up, and it looks like that is going to work. They're worried. They're maybe too worried about it. Push-up could have been successful, but in the meantime, Ulfa crashing in. There's about 8 teams up here, Blank, and in the mountains. Regnum Kaya are going to be overlooking at them all. They're going to have shots at maybe a few of them. Scarface has to hit the deck behind his vehicle there. Had a real tough time of things. Alpha 7 continue the nade up top, but the res already came through. Kara want a chance at it, and they'll not be quite as timid as Alpha 7 in this situation. Doran trying to reposition, get away from things, maybe regroup. Nah, not so lucky. CEO's got your number.
Yeah, super opportunistic right now coming through from Kara. This is a great moment to make this push over towards the top side. They waited for a team to start taking shots and split the attention of Wolves. Then when Wolves were looking both ways, that's when Kara looks to cross. Very, very good stuff from them. Now sending nades down the hill. Marso's also got an outpost towards the front side of things. This has been very, very calculated so far from Kara. Super clean from them. In the meantime, OG attempting to brute force it basically through DXavier, but struggling slightly on that side of things. And time is only running out for them down the southeast side of the map.
I mean, DXavier are going to have to move as well. And the teams on the north, not as necessary for them to try and shunt on in, but it is so prickly on this northern edge. So many teams, as I said before, like desert insects scuttling around this hilltop. Having a really rough time of it. Survival, the name of the game. With 13 teams remaining, I mean, we're getting in towards the sort of zones that you expect a lot fewer teams to be in existence here. OG are making their ascent, though, against DXavier, trying to find an opening.
Shot.
That's what they were looking for from Lambor. He will fall down. AKOP able to land that shot, tag it on. A tanky moving up as well, but the Blue Zone's putting pressure on. They're playing around these smokes quite well. Farajin has to be backed off the angle, and AKOP doing a lot of work. Heavy lifting coming on in, but his teammates have fallen around him, and it is going to be so much harder now to make this ascent. Fortunately, the reses need to come through for DXavier, and they're allowing him to move on the back line. AT steps in, and that will be the end of OG. Into the Valley of Death they ride, and they will be shut down because of it, but not before extracting their pound of flesh from DXavier.
Yeah, it's a tough rotate. It's a tough rotate to make, and I think for OG, they were banking on this being a southeast shift. And I mean, that's a very strong position if that's the case, but pushing up on that hillside, so hard. For Regnum Kaya, though, it's easy game for them. Honestly, it depends how Kara plays out this end game, but I think for Regnum Kaya, this is kind of an easy pickup overall, just taking more and more shots to the outside chances. They have to hope that it actually shifts away from them on the north side, but that's purely to pull players off from the north.
A 2v3 over towards Thunder Talk. Okay, Geeky are dominating. They got 5 elims. Why not have a little bit of a late game resurgence? What more can you do with these 2 players remaining? They've managed to do quite a lot of work, and now it's just Xing left, and he's thinking, guys, that's 2 players, and they're from Geeky. Like, how has this happened to you? How far have we fallen? They've already got 114 points now on the tally. They'd want a little bit more, but they're still feeling very, very safe. They just need to get maybe like a point a game. Let's see what they can find. Ah, there we go. There's a knock over towards NZ, even in the score. Meanwhile, over on the north edge, teams are starting to fall. Lower and lower on these player counts. You can see a lot of empty bars there. Not too many teams fully wiped out, but with 12 teams remaining, there's an average of just over 2 players per team, which is quite a significant metric. It's now exactly 2 players. No, hang on a minute. That was a team that went down. Ugh. The maths keeps getting harder, by the way. Not a lot of players per team.
DRX make their way into the top 7 with that. To 62 points now on the game, but are able to handle PK. They take a lot of casualties for it. VP similarly also on the chase here, down towards the south side of the map as the final player from DXavier finally makes his way back into the moment, but Kara is just taking names left, right, and center.
I mean, you say that, but now it's just down to Pusher. Tony on a sliver of HP, stays alive in the smoke. On the off angle, the Ulf player could be big here against Poser. Has to fall back, look for these reses. On the top side as well, you've got Mad Bulls to worry about. The player there, Tulika, could take a crack at it. CEO has to hold for the rest of his team. I think he knows that Tulika's there. That'll keep them safe. But Tony K's on the hunt. He's moving in with a bumpy. Needed assist from the top rope, but CEO has to hit the deck. That's going to give the game away on the push, however, and Kara can hold firm. Tony K falls and Kara stay alive. They're up to 12 elims with a possibility of a full reset.
This is insane work from Garrett today. Again, that's very well played from CEO as well. I think a lot more players would have full committed to that spray, but all he knows he needs to do is just delay for a little bit longer for the rest of his team to pull out. Because as soon as those shots go towards his end of things, he can immediately back off. The team can do the rest of the work. So that's good trust in the rest of his team as well. And Marsto's finding a hell of a shot across range over towards Milky Way there. Goodness me. That is the outpost they sent on the western side of the road. So very unlikely that VP gets that player back up again.
He might go on a mad dash, but oh, they are. Okay, hang on a minute. I thought it was unlikely, but they desperately want to keep their players in check. CEO still seemingly having sightlines there. Ketch now the last solo player on that north side, the remnants of that hilltop struggle. Higgles as well was able to get out of there earlier for the Wolves and surviving as a solo. A real tough time on this northern edge. And Regnum Kaya, I mean, they haven't got too many elims for it though, Blank. Which means that even though they've got this far, 6th place, that's not enough of a reward. They want more.
Yeah, they basically need to get first place from this position, and it is a first place position too. Nade over the top, quick bubble, underarm, easy peasy. 13 elims added to the tally now for Kara. A hard push ahead of them over towards Regnum Kaya though, but Marso doesn't seem to think so, as he immediately sends shots down range over towards Regnum, keeping them at bay for the time being, carrying them off this spot.
Virtus Pro did get that res. They were allowed to get Milky Way back up, but they're leaving him out there for the time being anyway. They must have an exit strategy somehow. Boston moves up to the hills as well, gets a little bit more of a foothold in that direction. I'm wondering what DRX are going to have to say about that, because they're going to have to run out, and they may be able to spot.
Shots over towards VP. You have to make this rotate now, and I think it was a little bit dangerous for them to actually try and get Milky Way back up again, as the circle was going to enclose. But I think they just about get a player back into position, but Voston immediately taken down. Milky Way flushed by Silas, and Kara's just sending it, dude.
All right, 2 players straight across the field. Lewis leaves his teammate out in the open, will go down himself. Kara, they're not going to do too well on that rotate. Player from Virtus Pro did go down in the process. Voston has been knocked, but yeah, I don't think Kara are going to get too much value from this one. They've already extracted a lot of points from this lobby. However, they are stepping pretty close to being in contest with Thunder Talk, which is really saying something.
Yeah, it's some real lobby annihilation coming through from Kara at the moment, leaving Poser and CEO alive. And again, I really did respect the rollout there. It's a very hard one to pull off, but if they're able to take down the 2 players, I think they pretty sure are inside of that shack. Then they take a formidable location that can maybe challenge up against Regnum Kaya. So it's a risk that realistically they have to take here if they want to go for the chicken dinner, which is, I like that. The fact that they're thinking towards the chicken dinner is amazing. That nade is disgustingly on target from Zed Wolf, and now there were 3.
Kara 7 nades in pocket, 2 players up the top. Virtus Pro have 7. Regnum Kai have a lot of smokes, but maybe a little bit thinner on the nades. They've only got a couple of players to handle, 4 players total. CEO spotted, challenges on the spray down, needs to be bold with it, and CEO sticks the landing on that. Unfortunately, there's the trade, and there's the nade from the off angles. Only 1 for the price of 2, and Zedwolf may be resable even still by Loxy and maintain this rooftop position against Virtus Pro, who've been holding on the outside here. Regnum Kaya up to 8 elims. It has been a good game for them, and they desperately needed it.
Yeah, they got a ton of smokes as well, but not too many nades to make this work. But realistically, playing in the shack, Regnum Kaya just, they can wait until zone 9. They just want to wait until this one really pulls Virtus Pro out of this shack, and then they can just play off the back of there with the smokes included. So this should be a Regnum Kaya win. They got a couple of eliminations off the back of it, and it does put them back in contest for top 7 after this one. They will need to have another strong game before probably match 4 or 5 tomorrow, but it sets themselves up nicely, right? I don't think any team has really played very I mean, other than Alpha Gaming, let's say, and Geek. But I think most teams still have a good chance of getting into top 7 tomorrow with some pretty astonishing plays.
Yeah, it is still an open door for quite a few teams. Regnum Kaya maybe just about squeaking in by the skin of their teeth here, but Virtus Pro, they're close to the bubble too. They have been chasing for a while. We were talking about how they didn't really find their way through into these later stages. Those mid games were a real struggle for them, but they managed to get all 4 players in. This hold has been difficult. Malloy going down is going to make this close down nigh on impossible for Virtus Pro. It is a 1v4 now for Aragon, unless he spends the time to get Malloy back up. But those nades now starting to run dry. Zed Wolf breaking out wide. They've got all the angles they could possibly wish for, and it is going to be a swift little peek out there from Wild in the ghillie suit. The desert camo working wonders, and Regnum Kaya closed down a 10 elimination chicken dinner, 20 points on the match. A great way to move towards the end of day 2 here of the Gauntlet.
A tidy sweep at the end there for Regnum Kaya. Set themselves up nicely. It was the winning position for a long while, and they definitely played it well. Again, it's very similar to DRX, where, you know, it's not the crazy win. They took a strong position, but the rotates to get there were fairly good, and they didn't flex out too much, understanding there was probably like 1,800 teams over on the north side of them playing on the cliff face. But I do think, again, big props to Kara. The way they played that hillside again, very, very good opportunistic gameplay.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. It's good to see them getting a chicken dinner on board as well. Silas going to be happy with that performance. He'll be happy with the position that they were able to hold, and they made it work for themselves. Obviously, that north side, as you said before, really, really treacherous for so many teams, and they just held their nerve. They didn't need to push out. They knew the mess that was unfolding. A lot of it because of the lay of the land, right? The cities that sat around it forced teams to go around Del Pozzo.
Yeah, it's so tough, and especially when it moves over towards that unplayable terrain anyway, teams don't really want to go on that bottom side. But Regnum Kaya with a nice, clean win.
Regnum Kaya finally get their chicken dinner, and this one was hand wrapped and gifted to them right here. They got a beautiful circle, but the big difference, Max, man, between them and other teams that have been, you know, kind of gifted a zone, they do it and they get a bunch of eliminations to go home with it. So beautifully played for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were like, 8 eliminations, it's not enough. We need more. They just send it on to Aragon and Malloy, try and wrap it up with a few more eliminations to reach those double digits. And I genuinely thought, Niptra, VP were going to deny them, try and nade themselves or molly themselves, because you said it also during that game. That's something VP typically tend to do, is deny points away. But here, they try to take the fight, maybe find an extra elimination here or there on solos of Regnum, but they can't even get it against that Groza shot from Wild. And Regnum coming out big here, finally, with their first chicken dinner of the Gauntlet stage.
I mean, all I can say is it's about time, right? I mean, this team's given us a heart attack 1 or 2 times. Like, just guys, come on. We know you can do better than this. And they do end up grabbing the win. I do think maybe VP were going to try and do something about that, try and steal the win. Maybe they were counting maybe Regnum or going to maybe push 1 by 1, something like that. But nah, Regnum too good for that. They're going to go and make sure that they get that win because it's so desperately needed.
I do want to ask though, Niptra, is this the win we wanted to see from Regnum Kaya? What do you think on that?
No.
Exactly, because I agree.
Yeah, I would have preferred maybe the win coming from a play like Kara made, right? I think if they had come up, swept the north side, had that dominating effect, played it really well, and then go into the compound and then sweep out from there, something like that, I think that would have been a lot better, because Kara played that very well, doing exactly what they do normally, and it worked out for them. Regnum could probably take a page out of their book.
Exactly. I mean, looking at Regnum Karo, I'm not saying this was a bad game. This is just, you're gifted a circle and you use it really well. You get a bunch of eliminations, double digits, really happy about it. But it doesn't sell me yet on that potential comeback opportunity, Hodgix, right? I'm not like, oh, they'll make it top 7 this next game. For me, I still need to see a bit more for me to be sold on that potential comeback opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like the crazy high school, like high skill chicken dinner, right? That we would love to see for Regnum Karya. I just think that, you know, it's one of those situations where, yeah, you know what? You got gifted a zone. It worked out for you. But sometimes, or you've seen this happen plenty of times, Maxman, right? That happens, you get that chicken dinner, and then you just start going crazy afterwards, right? Sometimes you just need that little luck to spark that intensity, right? Hopefully that is what we see from Regnum Karya.
You need a spark to make the bomb explode here for Regnum Karya.
Right.
The Turkish will be going strong, hopefully. But yeah, hopefully that's going to give them a little bit more confidence and momentum moving forward, going into the next Miramar. And I said it. Miramar, normally not a map that stands out for me as like the Regnum Karya map. You know what? Here they're able to get himself a double-digit chicken dinner. Very happy to see it. APG, you could see they're depressed.
Man.
Normally, I know I should not do this, by the way, guys.
Okay.
Because the moment I say this, they're going to start doing a comeback. But man, APG are washed right now. I'm sorry. What is going on, APG?
He said it.
Where are they? They're not playing the game. They're not even joining the lobby, I feel like. Come on.
I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to it's hard to go against it. I mean, what is going on with this team? I mean, honestly, for me, it was watching them in that Erangel match where they could easily have just drove up to that ridge line. They would have had such secure position. Instead, they like do a crazy wild outside split push on the EA and then get picked apart. That really got me just like had question marks all over my head. And then, you know, seeing this performance as well, it doesn't give me the confidence that I think we need to see from a squad like APG. So I don't know. I think that if the Maxman reverse curse technique is going to work, might as well. Let's go for it.
I kind of hope it works. Part of me's like, I hope I can use my powers for good. But
that's right.
I don't know. I can't quite control, unfortunately. All I know is that I can't curse Indian tournaments because Marzi's the one that has all the power over there. But Niptura, looking back at these rotational maps that are coming out for some of these teams, Virtus Pro hugging that western cliffside the entire time, clearly trying to set up a big high ground position. Unfortunately, the circle does shift away eventually, but Virtus Pro were calm, but yet super methodical in how they were approaching every single one of these circle shifts.
Yeah, I really like how they played this. They hugged the west side, as you said, but then they move over to this compound. They try and do a 2-2 split. Later on, you're about to see that now they're actually going to try and move out, spread out across the west side of zone as well, just trying to control as much of that zone as possible. And that's what I'm looking for in a team. For me, if a team is going to do well in finals, they have to have that zone control capability. And VP certainly gave it their best. I think just that zone being just what it was out in the fields made it very, very difficult.
Man, look at these leaderboards. So Regnum Karya get 20 points. The big standout, though, for me this game, guys, right? It's gotta be Kara. And I was trying to think, what do I say about this team? And I'm gonna use what Maxman said while we were watching this game, right? And that is, what did Kara have for breakfast, right? Because these guys went nuts today. I mean, they had 27 points, right? Before the day started. What is this? 3 games in a row with double, or 3 games total, right? So far with double-digit points. These guys are just going nuts, Niptura.
They really are. I love to see it. They've gone back to their original strategy, and it's working so well for them. This is what I wanted to see out of OG. This is what I expected to see out of APG. Regnum Karya as well. This massive sweep around, just throwing hands all over the lobby, getting control, and then just moving on from there. Wild did his best. He still is MVP of the game, right? 5 eliminations, some really nice stuff, especially for 23 healing. So that's looking really good. Wild is big old GG over there. I want to see, though, if they are going to pull a DRX, right? DRX won a game. It was slightly handed to them, but they made the most of it in the next couple of games. Regnum need to do the same, especially as the points are just getting further and further away looking at these leaderboard, Max.
Yeah, Kara, you talked about it here, Hot Chooks. Maybe Kara looking to play catch-up with Thunder Talk, and they are doing just that. 17 points away. And keep in mind, they are 17 points away from Thunder Talk, despite having only 1 chicken dinner compared to the 3 wins for Thunder Talk. This is a crazy comeback for the ages in the Gauntlet stage of this year's Pmgc. Kara, even though we're seeing some slight misplays here and there, the elimination amount they have of 70, almost tying the top fragging team in this lobby, is madness. Kara, if they keep this kind of momentum going, top 7, like they're done. Literally, possibly next game, depending on how things go down, Hot Jukes.
I mean, 71 points on the day, guys. Average 14 points per game. I mean, Kara are crushing it. Yeah, a comeback that, I mean, is momentous, especially for a stage as impactful as the Gauntlet. This whole roster, this whole lobby is so stacked to the teeth. I kind of want to talk about their play style though in this last match, Neptura, right? We saw Kara kind of hug that north side and they dominated, right? We saw Poser go up against EA and they were just going in and out, just making it work, right? How do you feel like they played that one and how did it end, you know, for them? I know you had some questions about it. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I loved how CEO played the anchor point up on that cliff because he was practically unstoppable up there. No one could touch him. He had that strong of an angle. No one could go uphill towards him. So he was able to have full domination, full info, back up his team super, super effectively. I think, Max, what ended up happening, though, is they just got a little too overconfident once they were in the top 3.
Look, if you want to make a bad play, that's okay with me. Just do it together. That's all I really want. I don't really care if Kara, if you want to make a bad decision of sending it out in the fields, you can do it, but just commit. And you know what? Because you have the numbers together, maybe you'll have a better chance of coming out on top. I think they tried to do too many things all at once, and that did cost them the win. I think that if they just push onto Regnum Kara here for Kara, they do go home with a win because they then also win the safety of the compound versus Regnum. It was a little bit unfortunate for them, but you know what? They definitely gave it a fair shot, and they again showed up in terms of the elimination alone. But yeah, man, Wild. I'm so happy with Wild just performing. It feels like every player outside of just Silas, really, who is the IGL, he's still a great fragger, but every player on Regnum Kara is just Wild, Loxy, and now Z-Wolf is just the trifecta of top fraggers here in Turkey. It's great to see.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. I mean, I'll tell you one thing that isn't so great to see, though, and I want to talk about it. I've been kind of avoiding talking about them all day because I didn't want to curse them, right? It's got to be the Wolves, all right? Wolves have not been able to get it done today, Neptura, right? We saw earlier in this last match a crazy hard shift on the Monte Nuevo, right? That southwestern shift right on to the Wolves, and they weren't able to really make something of it, right? What do you think is going on? Like, what is going wrong with this squad, at least in your eyes?
Unfortunately, I think the rest of the lobby has woken up and the Wolves were not prepared for it. I don't think they were. Yesterday, everybody, that first day vibe is like everybody's kind of tiptoeing around each other. Yes, you get aggressive, but you're still figuring out how the rest of the lobby plays. Day 2 is when you have that information now and you go, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And the Wolves, I think, have just lagged behind in that aspect. They've just not been able to follow the pace of the rest of the lobby, and they're just getting left behind in the dust.
Max Band, you agree with that?
Yeah.
You think they're playing a little bit too split? Maybe?
I was re-watching the map feed actually while Niptro was talking about Wolves just to see exactly what was going on this game, and I'm just seeing they were on a northern position, very similar to Kara actually, and they just get completely corralled by teams, fully surrounded, and they just stay very complacent. I think that's a point in time where you get surrounded by teams, Hot Jukes. Just send it on one team to try and at least create an exit point, and I feel like Wolves were just so hesitant for so long, they just got surrounded and completely demolished in the process. Wolves, more commitment to a play would make me happier with their current performances. As of right now, they're unfortunately, I don't want to use the word scared, but they're definitely very hesitant to make plays happen, and that is hurting them a lot in a lobby like this where decision making is literally do or die for these teams if you want to be in the grand finals.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, I've been looking at their play style very closely, and you know, there's something going on, right? They're definitely in their heads, at least from my opinion, right? You see them putting themselves into good spots, but when it comes time to fight, it doesn't seem like their decision making is all in unison, right? You see one player looking in this direction, the other one looking in the other. We're not seeing that unified Wolves that we saw in the Americas, Neptura. So we got one more match left to go, okay? Looking at the leaderboards, who do you think needs to get a chicken dinner right here, right now?
Honestly, OG. I think OG need a win now because they're falling down the leaderboard pretty drastically. We've not seen much for them. They need a win before we get to day 3.
Max?
I mean, OG is, of course, an obvious one because they'd yet to have a win, and they're currently in 7th position. They could slip out of top 7 for the first time if this game doesn't go their way. But I'm going to say back-to-back Regnum Karya. It's happening. They're jumping up. It's top 7 o'clock here for them. It's going to go down.
Let's see, was that the spark they needed to explode? One match left to go. One more day after this. Let's go ahead and take it on over to John Allen and Blank to wrap things up.
That is right. We got one more match to play today before we close out and head towards our third and final day. Will it be the back-to-back Regnum Karya chicken dinner? Only time will tell. The plane path from La Cobreria over down towards Partona for our final go around the desert this time.
It's not a horrible plane path, honestly. It's sort of similar to our previous one in the fact that it does drop off most of our teams on a edge of the map, right? So it's going to mean a lot of the eastern side of the map is going to be a little more free. Some of those rotates you can go for. If it drops over towards Impala, you probably want to get over there pretty quickly, just because you know that probably teams aren't going to be dropping in that location or getting towards that position of the map too early on. I think that the Regnum Karya double win does sound nice, you know? I wouldn't mind that, but again, I think that last win is so it's not luck based. It's just they did select what is probably the best compound in terms of getting a chicken dinner, and they got there early enough. So it was good identification and a good initial rotate, but from there wasn't really a massive amount to be done. And then a fairly tidy finish from Regnum Karya 2 versus the remnants of Kara as well as Virtus Pro.
Oh, hang on.
It's not hot.
I don't think it's.
It's very close.
Okay, yeah, no, it is. It is going to be a full hot drop here between APG and OG, looking to try and take the fight. Maybe could see a disengage at the moment. The numbers advantage for APG on spot, but the regroup definitely possible. 3 players on the inside of the compound for OG. A couple of weapons found. Body armor as well for Zyol, and he's moving out, trying to get an angle here. Needs to be careful though. Always go down to a long shot. Like there is a long barrel. Maybe sent his way, or is that Pumpy off in the distance coming on through? Maybe a little bit less of a danger. No, it is. Okay, it is the M24 for AKOP. But he gets backed off the angle with a swift shot. A lot of damage to the level 2 helmet there, but we'll get away with his life.
Yesterday's went pretty drastically badly for APG, with OG quite handily taking on Alpha Gaming. So this feels like maybe a little bit of revenge potentially coming through from Alpha Gaming, but are they ready and up to the task? Because again, OG's been playing from this position quite well in the past.
Looks like a significant lack of weaponry on side for OG. Oh no, hang on a minute, it's just popping in as they get a little bit closer to them. But still, very thin on the ground. I think this is a disengage for both of these two teams. They know the circle isn't here. OG don't need to stick around on exactly this spot, but Zyol, I mean, he wants to keep this one getting stuck in.
You don't get the initial knock straight away over towards AKOP, so it's a little bit harder to push this one down, knowing you're in a 4v3 and you can just trade off. Top taking a heck of a long distance on this one with the MG3 as well. Not the greatest of long-range weaponry. Just trying to scout it out. I think he just about saw AKOP drop down there. And now looks to push further up, waiting for the cross. And I think that if he does see the cross, he can confirm for the rest of the team that they can start to push up a little bit further, make this into a 4v3 or a 3v3. But AK is just looking for meds right now. That's the name of the game for him. Level 2 helmet, level 2 vest. It's decent.
Yeah, he's swapping that one out. I mean, it's unfortunate he's not come across any yet. There's 5 bandages, so imagine that those might be wrapped around fairly soon. You'd hope, but still yet to start to apply them. I mean, in that apartment building, he should be able to find a lot more meds on site to be able to find a tastier health bar, a more appetizing result towards the end of it. You can see his health bar is ticking up, so he is using those bandages to keep himself safe. It's a bit of deadlock here in Pmwc. No team wants to pull the trigger on this one, not fully. I thought, like you were saying, we're top on the outside. Maybe they were more keen for it, but No, they're kind of stuck in the mud on this. Aru, actually the counter to that opposing situation. Maybe able to chime in with the SKS as well.
Yeah, just looking for something on side. We do have an interview with VP coming up shortly. We'll be talking to Aragon with 7WG. We'll hope things don't pop off during that interview, though. But in the meantime, we're going to stick on board. Okay, again, if OG loses this fight, it's pretty bad for them, right? Where there's an opportunity for DX, A7, Regnum Kaya, even Wolves in this case to leapfrog them and push them out of the top 7. Yeah, they've been very careful about this. Aru sends away in the buggy. Top has eyes on this, though.
I do know about it fully. He's shuffling around. He's not made any movements with vehicles here, so his position is not given away. Aru may very well not know about this completely. But where's he going? That's what I want to know. Maybe he's trying to move undetected, and you can't blame him. But this is a very wide wrap coming on through for Aru.
Yeah, potentially just trying to create an anchor point, but this does mean that APG know this is now a 4v3 on their hands. He's wrapping all the way around. Confusion tactics. Alpha Gaming don't know what's going to hit him.
Top's like, I can see what's happening. I just don't know what's happening, you know? It's
coming back.
It's pretty crazy stuff. Aru's now, yeah, on the backfield. Trying to actually, I don't know what he's trying to do, but
I can only imagine he's hunting for the off angle, in which case Top's doing a great job to stay outside.
It's like, you know, like when a cat's like finding the perfect place to sit. Oh, hang on a minute. We'll tune back in with that in a second with my opinions on cats. There's the shot down for Doc. That's going to be a big pickup onto a tanky. And he's not going to go much further. Same for WizGod. APG winning this fight. Ooh, this is nasty stuff coming on through. Kind of opening a broadside. Top now steps out of the tree. He's like, right, okay, you guys having fun. I want fun too. Unleash the M249. Doesn't connect, but still, he was able to pull the trigger. And that's what matters.
All right, last player, AK, OP inside the building. He's still got Aru swinging around the outside, but this guy's deadly. Very, very deadly indeed. Not someone you want to underestimate. And they don't have players too close to him just yet. They're starting to swarm a little bit here. On the zip line, okay. Styling. Just getting some points in.
Well, that was connected.
Close.
So close there on the shot for AKOP. He's the last player on the inside of this building to stand for them. That off angle. Yeah, Aru is leaving this one. AKOP now left a lone soldier here with the UMP, waiting for someone to step a little bit too close, get a little bit too bold. He's watching their corner. The nades are cooking as well in the off angles. He's dropping down. He's read into it. He thinks he wants a little bit more. Reposition away. Does bait the nade in. And that might be useful here. Top on the off angle. You still have to worry about it. You can see AKOP going for that little stutter peek. Can't afford a second, though. Nose is being watched.
Still going for that shot. I mean, I respect it. But he's in the window. He's in the window. Very low HP. Will take down one for his efforts. And a little bit of vindication coming through for AKOP there.
He was able to get that
full
1 point.
revenge.
Yeah, well, not complete. Aru is still alive. He's still alive out to the east side. He left. He was looking for an off angle, and off he goes for a completely different angle to the game. A solo result. Circle pop, Blank. Just kind of blitzed us up to the north side here, as it's going to be all the way up to water treatment as we send to the north of San Martin as well. It's going to be a difficult rotate again for our teams on Miramar.
Yeah, not easy. Having around water treatment is really awkward as well because of the low ground that's available in this area. I mean, Mad Bulls take the right objective here. They go straight up towards the northern side of things, wrap back on themselves from La Cobreria. They already know this location is free and clear from where they dropped earlier, so they can just take high ground nice and early. You could play inside water treatment early on and keep things nice and simple. A lot of MG3s going on in this game. This is like Max's favorite game ever.
Absolutely, you know. We'll start to love the LMG gameplay coming on through. More bullets means more elims, right? That's how it works, pretty sure. Thunder Talk, they've certainly got one in tow. Teams yet to really break out to the hills further northwest out of water treatment, but I'm sure it'll only be a matter of time because the positions to the north of Hacienda getting really chock-a-block. Spray down for Coops, not quite connecting here as we tune in with Wolves down on the southeast side, the east of Hacienda.
So is getting lit up here. I do love how the M249 sounds though.
It just keeps going.
It is
never
pretty terrible with the 4X, as displayed earlier. On Taru, didn't quite work out.
Yeah, it's not ideal. You have to really be very, very stable for that one to be able to connect at that sort of distance. DRX eliminated. All right, they end their day, 65 points. I mean, it's maybe close enough. We'll have to wait and see. They are in 6th place. You can see there's so many teams just beneath them, lurking below the surface of that 7th place bubble, desperately wanting to clamber a little bit further. That's the name of the game here. Stay out of danger. Get towards those 90 pointers at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a good place to see. I think Kara also in similar boat to Thunder Talk right now, where they've sort of done enough. Thunder Talk definitely wanted a little bit more points. I think coming 1st place in Gauntlet's nice for all things, you know, reputation, money, etc. So I think for Thunder Talk, they'd like to hold on to that. I don't think they expected much competition, but competition has certainly arrived in the form of Kara.
They are fairly formidable today. Not really so much yesterday, but this is a brilliant turnaround for them. The next circle just about to come on through. Kara, you could see there, actually going to be, I mean, I would say favored by this, but that hill to the east of water treatment is really nasty to play around. They can hold their current position, though, and that might be a little bit stronger. All right, moving in just beneath them. They were certainly starting out very, very strong, but a little bit of a downturn just before.
I don't mind this spot coming through from the Xavier. Trying to rotate on this northeast side. They do have competition E Arena though. R8's been fairly quiet today, but taking fantastic shots over towards Regnum Kaya, finding a double on the crossing. Martha's just been a monster all day. Real Martian. Sorry. I'll say it again.
Oh, no. Oh, no. But yeah, either way, Regnum Kaya cut down in half. The back-to-back looking much less likely. However, they do get into water treatment and into a building, so they'll be able to survive for quite a while longer. They want to be jumping up towards 70 points here, which means 11-point game blank. And that's just got a whole lot less likely, given their position, given their lack of real presence here. OG aren't done. They chime in over towards Thunder Talk, maybe looking for another point here for Aru on the southeast side.
No, I mean, every little point counts, to be honest, but did draw the ire of Thunder Talk by doing that. You'd imagine they're going to be turning around soon and taking shots his way. DRX getting knocked out is pretty good for OG's chances as well for tomorrow, just because having another team at 65 points dropping out early in this game means it's still interchangeable. It's close again. Close again. So OG is down. 7th place. So DXAV chasing, Wolves chasing, Alpha 7's chasing. Regnum Kaya, I don't see the double win coming through now. So both predictions are kaput.
Oh, it's 20 is where that mark. It's going to be enough for Thunder Talk. We'll definitely be seeing them in the... That is what maybe they were expecting. They did the lion's share of their work yesterday, Blank. It was almost all done there.
It was. I think for Thunder Talk, they're absolutely fine. They had good points at the start of the day as well, and they were like, we're fit, so we could chill out a little bit now. They only really need to hit 140 points to be absolutely certain of it. That's unfortunate. The bounce off the back of the US. Oh, adds insult to injury there. Mormon extremely low, but just about gets the heal off, but won't protect the rest of the Wolves as they come in. 5 elims now. 1 more elim to sit even with 6th and 7th place here.
That's what they're looking for. DX Xavier on the north side, and they got GK bearing down upon them. It is neck and neck with these two right now. DX Xavier seem to be in the front. I think that might have just put them over the top there. See what more they can do. Holding out against GK. Admirals are chiming in as well over on that north side. It's nasty news. And they just continue to burn. Wolves. All the way down. Like in the picture of pictures, definitely popping off. You can see it's definitely gone the way there of DX Xavier. They're going to earn a lot of that. That should put them, yep, they're up in 5th there, which puts Wolves down in 9th, looking to try and jump up over Rex, who are on 65, 1 point ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves do want to go slightly further than this. Sakura is that player to make it happen. And we'll just go for the rundown instead, but Sakura holds on strong. Slick edge like the Blossom.
Ooh, not to that one though. Here goes on that off angle, keeping the Wolves alive. 2 players remain for them now. They are still on 65 points. Drawing even, so they are losing that tiebreaker with DRX and OG, which puts them still down in 9th place, so they need 1 more to jump up into that bubble. Of course, it's not the end of today that matters, it's the end of tomorrow, but it's a nice to end in 11, I'm sure. Circle closes fairly central. It's teams on the north, Mad Bulls, Virtus Pro, who are going to have to move the most.
And Virtus Pro will be pushing in through that side. Right now, they do have angles on towards Mad Bulls just yet, but equally both teams are kind of formation game from one another. Virtus Pro could make the mad dash over towards What Treatment. That's a possibility. It's a bit of an uncomfortable finish on the circle around where Alpha 7 is probably one of the better spots right now, where they can transition to the high ground on the west, or even just play out to control the eastern side. But that's a very good pickup for the start there over towards Tulika, and I would 100% take that chance on the fight.
They'll send up Voston immediately trying to control that ridgeline. Tulika getting back for the rest of the Mad Bulls. Mouse to reflip, catches him. Hides of this one around because Malloy, the blue pushing, stage 5, you need to get him up if you want him to stay alive. I don't think they have to do it though. A really valuable pickup, and that is going to slow Virtus Pro all the way down on the approach. Flip, keeping them safe for the time being, but Voston wants more. Wants another bite. And wants another go. And Voston moves in forward. But it doesn't go down. The DPS rocks around the corner and connects with Malloy this time. Hurricane flip on the inside, burns the top window, but it's the other one you need to worry about. Voston still ducks away from it and stays alive for a little longer.
It's a nasty nade you can get out from this backward window. Voston's looking to send one back here on that side, gets a little bit of damage done. Flip now looking to get that nade out the side, but VP very aware of this one right now. Fall into that. I think he's a little bit impatient on his push, could have waited for some of the attention to be taken away. And for VP, it's kind of been the thing that slowed them down, concerning themselves with getting Malloy back up into picture. Good jump out from Milky Way, takes down Tulika. Immediately flips back down the stairs, leaving it just 1 player alive for Virtus Pro in Aragon.
He will go for the spray down, connect on the first. That's the play zone actually coming in clutch there. And the drop down leaves Mad Bulls again, just on the 1 player. Lemon now on the off angle versus Aragon. Trying to keep themselves together. The last player now for Virtus Provia. They want to chime in. They want a piece. They're trying to third-party the engagement, moving Levi. He's flexed the other 3 players from DXavier. Seems like they might want to regroup on it. Look at that push around to the north of DXavier. They get this fight as Virtus Pro falls.
You're very well done to DXavier. They hear that fight. They move up. And if you can play off from this hillside and this ridge down towards the south, you actually have a very good chance in this game. But not only that, they've cleared out so many teams now on this northern side. It's 2 total, so they know a lot of the presence from this northern side of the map is gone, which is super helpful for their finish towards the end of this. Also, in other news, this is the first time in a while we see DXavier not with 2 players, not with 3 players, but with 4.
I mean, you wouldn't look at their point on the north, though. They are split still 3-1. Paragon remaining that backstop. We'll see if they can figure it out. Play back as a 4. Send after Lemon from the Mad Bulls. Maybe look to move up. It's Alpha 7, though, the major threat within this circle, holding the buildings. It's going to be a difficult approach. Southside, Kara still in effect. We'll see what they can do for their players still, too.
Eagles getting shut down on the southeast side. Baton being the last player alive for the Wolves. Not quite placement point range yet, but a 6-point game. Terrible for the Wolves right now, but they would like some more icon moves in and move teams down wild. Down to the Maestro himself in Loxy.
Just as good. Able to shotgun, but the second peak for Icon is going to work out for them. Kaya eliminated. Definitely no back-to-back for them. 11th place and potentially lower could be on the cards. R8, they've heard the noise and they want to roll into water treatment. They want to sip themselves.
This is a good chance for that. I thought I was down and out earlier when we saw them take down Regnum Kaya, but then have a tough time. That is a bad nade from ESO. Self-nade on the team is never pretty to see. Jafar around the corner, though, will take down 2. That leaves just Prestige up. Jafar.
Nade cooking, looking to get those flushes on board. Jafar pressure back, able to confirm 1. Pops out the window, slick with it. Now, what is the outside player for R8? He's still picking up those points, and Jafar's being naughty here. Needs to be put on the set. Ida catches him jumping in, but doesn't connect. Jafar with another. Oh my goodness me. Looking to go for a 1v4. He's put himself into the 1v1 now against Prestige. Jafar, the last player for GS, looking to survive. Has the door frame. Prestige nearly got connect onto by the DBS shot there. 2 rounds left in the chamber. A first aid now being popped. Prestige can't quite find the nerve to step in through the door frame, and I don't blame him. He's taken down everybody else. Looks for another. Has to reload now. Steps out just too wide of Prestige. He puts an end to the naughty business there for Jafar, but he did damage.
I have never seen such bold behavior like that. The way he was jumping windows, it was humiliation right there for R8, to be quite honest with you. The amount of times that he jumped through the windows, R8, I don't blame them very much, to be honest with you, because it's case, who in the right mind jumps through those windows like that? It's such a bold strategy and one that works hardly any of the time. But he was just taking advantage of the fact that no one does that sort of thing. Almost a 1v4. What incredible from Jafar there. And I mean, he has stepped up multiple times in the past, but Sam, what a barn burner that play was.
I mean, he had that performance against APG very early on in the tournament. It's really a clip to add to his show reel, I'm sure. Looks like look at the final players of R8 out. Certainly a disturbing situation for them to try and find their way out of. DXavier, then with the top here, and the good news for the Woolwell on the opposite side is that placement points have kicked in, which means that they will get up towards the top 7, unless Alpha 7 is able to get a big game on today and push them all the way down. But even then, I'm not so sure that they can.
I kind of get what DXavier were trying to do here with Paragon on the eastern side, trying to provide an anchor point just in case the circle does head east. But usually when that happens, you don't try and take 3v4s. That's like not ideal. And that's exactly what DXavier for. Finally, Paragon does regroup with the rest of the team. So they're down to 3 now, but they're starting to get buffed up, right? Every time they lose a member on DXavier, they seem to get stronger somehow.
Yeah, it's way of things, it seems. 3 players at the top of the mountain. Nate, the casualty for them. Prestige still alive. He kept it together. in those final moments. Let's see if he can continue to do so. Ulf taking pressure. The heavy hits coming on through from Pmgc. Got Margin, gets the sideline they need.
Shots down towards Ulf right now behind the Luke, trying to keep things pretty for the time being, but it's starting to look uglier and uglier. Time goes on. Takes a shot from Obscure at distance. It is not the player that I expected to be saying the name of so many times from Alpha 7. I'm glad it is. He is really showing his weight in gold here for Alpha 7 throughout these. They've not had the best one of it, but he is certainly keeping them in the running.
He's pushing up, looks for Landlaw, not going to connect in response either, has to fade away. Prestige has a little bit more to give. Paragon is both pushing over now, and you've got to wonder what can he do. Answer is nothing. They will fall. That is going to be Pmgc able to shut that one down. They're up to 7 elims here, blank, R8 as well. Getting a hefty tally, but they will draw short on the approach to Pmgc.
I mean, Dave almost felt like R8 was channeling Jafar in that moment. Right? He may have been Jafar, but the spirit was near with R8 for Prestige. Pmgc able to hold on though. Kevin starting to branch out just slightly, and lo and behold, Kara once again in a top 4 scenario. They are determined to catch up to Thunder Talk today.
I mean, they're 17 points behind. Got 5 elims, so it would need, I mean, 5 and 7 is, that would be a 22-point game. So 12 elims and the chicken dinner total. I mean, for Kara, that's doable, right? That's easy. That's easy work. That's light loads.
It is. It is light work for them. Just a warm up. Well, I don't know. The warm around has gone. They've added too much weight to the tables. Xavier is able to find at least one over their way, but should be short order before that's picked up again. But it does give a small chance for Xavier to. They're taking a 2v4. Of course they are. I don't know why I thought they would be trying to do anything different.
Okay, he's pulled out the side. No style points on the roll up there. We saw it a couple of times yesterday, and Kara learned their lesson from the other times. And they've seen it before. They'll put it to sleep. And that's a res.
It's like Xavier has no limits. They just have no limits. Like, we're going to go for a 2v4, sure, and I'm going to drive in and do a flyby. Don't worry about it. Yeah, makes no sense. Anyway, Kara, Alpha 7 going head to head, but Revel already being down. They need it badly.
Able to tag on Tommaso. You'd hope he was laid very still on the deck. And then knock as well. Alpha 7 finally stopping Kara where nobody else could. There's a nade, there's a follow-up. The spray downs are good, but now 2 players to 2v3. Kara wanted to try and answer. He's out actually fairly isolated here. The next circle does close center. Worried. CEO spots Obscure on the off angle. There's not a really forced presence from Alpha 7 towards CEO, and they're right on the edge of the blue zone. That's what they needed. Obscure on the Mini 14 at distance. Give him Lewis next, see what he could do.
It's a good swing out from him to finish off our day today. Lewis behind the loot crate, but the only loot here is going to be the chicken dinner for Alpha 7 when Obscure will finish this off. And beautiful relief here for Alpha 7. I think that does get them back up into the top 7 now off the back of those 10 points they gained, and they can look lively going into tomorrow, John.
They definitely will be in the top 7, and unfortunately for the Wolves, that's going to push them out, despite the point that they were able to earn in the survival rankings there towards the end. So, yeah, I mean, too bad, so sad. I guess you get pushed out by your co-America's team as Alpha 7 look to try and regain former glory towards the end of day 2. Great little turnaround for them. They're building very, very strong, and they moved out nicely to cover the ground around them. Quiet until the very end, but they did start to turn up the heat then.
Yeah, and it's all that matters really is just getting those points consistently. And I think Alpha 7, despite, you know, it's not been amazing, they have been putting those points here and there. I feel like it was a matter of time before we saw a good Alpha 7 game, because we know this is not a bad team.
Yeah, it's definitely a team with a lot of power, a lot of legacy as well. They have had their low, so we'll hope it's going to be another performance like that. For now, they'll be happy. Let's head over to the desk.
Back up, 'cause it's lit. bring it back. Bring it. Keep it Look at all this, bring it.
Alpha 7 get their second chicken dinner of the tournament and their first one on Miramar, and a much needed one as well, Max, man. These guys just dropped out of that top 7. A chicken dinner right here is going to pay dividends for them. And I'm telling you, we were kind of talking about it in the background, right? Once I saw this circle and Alpha 7's position, I was like, they don't lose this. And I'm so glad they didn't.
I wasn't sold on the 100% chicken dinner opportunity for Alpha 7. It depends on the timing, and I'm happy to see that the timing was literally perfect from Alpha 7. This Kara fighting the side of Xavier with that original push, Niptura, I think it's fair to send it, just flying into Kara right there. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for them. But Alpha 7 see that as a great opportunity to just wrap around up north, get the off angle. Obscure in particular was the nail in the coffin for this chicken dinner and taking absolute control of that finishing circle and getting themselves the win. And look at the damage, especially, except for Revo, that was just in every fight. He was the tank of the team. Yeah. Everyone else, low damage, meaning it was very one-sided in their favor. And this is the Alpha 7, in particular on Miramar Niptura, that I wanted to see, and finally they delivered.
Yeah, I love seeing a win that's taken by angles, right? You had a player on different spots of the high ground, somebody on the low ground as well, somebody coming on through. You had a wide wrap around to try and just hem in that last player car 100%. And I love to see that. That's no chances taken, just pure skill, pure game knowledge coming through to grab a win. So really nice that we could end the day with an A7 win just like that.
You know what we're also going to end the day with, right? Some more points on the side of Kara. I mean, come on. These guys had, the best day of a gauntlet for sure, right? Because this is the first gauntlet, but it's going to be tough to beat, Max, man. These guys went crazy.
Look, if CEO from Kara is not MVP, I don't know what to believe anymore, okay? He has to be MVP of the day. There's absolutely no way that does not happen. We'll see, of course, later on as we go on to this ending segment for today. But of course, we're going to be checking out some highlights for this match. A lot of things happening from the very early stages, and in particular, we have to bring it up. APG Orangutan hot drop happened, and this time around, APG take home the win.
Yeah, it was really nice to see because they were actually prepared for it as well. They had those wraparound angles, able to do what they need to do, and OG were just like, can't do much here. We're just going to send it as a solo. Nicely done. I love this. I don't love this for Regnum, but that was just so funny. Let's just go in direct line of fire of R8 as the car comes through, flying in. Ping doing the business, clutching that up for his teammate there as well. DT had been a little bit quieter in the second half of the game, or second half of the day rather, but honestly, we know their points. We know they're in probably to the finals most likely here. And a lot of car shenanigans going on, but yeah, we've been talking about a few of these teams. One team I do want to talk about though, Max, is Wolves, right? Wolves been interesting.
I actually am very happy you bring up Wolves. I wanted to talk about them. That push at the end there versus E-Arena, that fight was, to be completely honest, it was a mess. The way they send it, solo after solo, and they just give multiple 1v1s over to E-Arena. Not happy about it. I feel like this is a team that now is struggling to kind of keep up with the massive improvements we're witnessing from the entirety of this lobby for the Gauntlet stage. And right now, they're falling behind and at a pretty rapid pace too. Hot Jukes, I know you're a big fan of this team, but as of right now, Wolves, yeah, they are definitely falling behind.
Oh, big time. Something like I said, I was just looking at their fight style. They are constantly just getting split up and getting in these 1v1 situations, and that is just not where they're going to have any success at all. When you have so much experience in this lobby, everybody is playing as an absolute unit. So if you second guess yourself and you got players just kind of focusing on two different things at one time, you're not going to have a lot of success. And I'll tell you what, Neptura, one thing that I've definitely noticed, right, is Doran, the IGL, getting knocked early, right? Quite a bit.
Yep.
How do you think that has impacted this team so far?
I think it really drops confidence if a team or a player consistently goes out very early, because it immediately puts you on the back end. It puts you on a defense. And it's something where it's like, listen, we got to figure it out. Because if it's a singular player, right, that goes time and time again and gets knocked, I don't really care if he's the IGL or not, right? If he's the IGL, it's the better one of the players to go out early because he can still do his job from that position. However, there's something that needs to change. If he keeps going out early, it's either got to be rotations, he's got to be splitting too far. There's something that's got to be rectified there.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to change up. I mean, they do get it 8 points in this match, which is definitely better than what we've seen mostly today. So it's not the worst ending, Max Man, but if we want to see them in the top 7, especially with how we've seen a lot of these teams perform, they're going to have to make it happen right in the final moments.
Yeah, 8 points in PMGC, unfortunately, can only take you so far. But as of right now,
Right.
it is not enough to remain comfortably in the top 7. Though we did see on the first page of these match rankings, Ulf, I think there was only 1 elimination for 5 placement points. I still want to see more. I know I've been saying this a lot today, Niptura, for Ulf, but they're just getting these literally god-tier positions in these games. We saw on Rondo earlier today, a few times on Erangel, and this game in particular really stands out to me as you're gifted a great spot, and yet they don't do anything with such a good position. Unlike, for example, Carrillo, that had a central compound, and these guys were blasting. Almost 600 damage.
Right.
These guys were on fire, doing what I wanted to see Ulf do, but no, Alpha 7 were the one to stand out the most in the center of the circle.
Yeah, it really goes to show, you know, A7 is like, hey, you got a compound, doesn't mean you just have to sit in it. You can do the business from there. Thundertalk still top of the leaderboard. Kara, even with that big last game, not able to surpass them just yet, but they're pretty darn close. And I think it's safe to say, guys, that they are in top 7 pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Alpha 7 here in particular, Hodrix. The Americas, they have a team up here. It's Alpha 7 from Brazil. They're popping off. And the 2 wins will finally push them up here in 5th position, followed up by then Xavier. VP dropping down slowly but surely despite a very hot start in the Gauntlet. And we're seeing then DRX dropping down. Orangutan for the first time here outside of top 7. And not just by a little bit, overtaken by 3 or 4 teams, if I'm not mistaken. So Orangutan, we said we needed to see a win. We didn't see it today. There's still time tomorrow. But again, the time is ticking. You need to get a win eventually if you want to be in the grand finals.
That's right. 6 more matches tomorrow. That is it, right? And you've got to get a top 7. Otherwise, you're going to the group stage. We can take a look at the daily MVP.